Yes, my people, and we are on gold. We're on the 5 minute chart, and if we just quickly go into the 1 hour chart, we can see that price is bullish based off our SMAs. So we can, follow that going into our lower time frame. So there was a trade that you could have taken during the Asia session. Obviously, I wasn't available for that, but if you see a setup, we trade a setup, right? But we had SBS model one, so where this was your one, this was your two, this was your three, four, five, and you can see that we kind of created a double bottom, and then price shot up, and then obviously we've taken out our previous higher high. So that's a trade that you could have taken within Asia if it was available, and then going into the London session, there was also another potential trade that you could have taken. So we already established that price took out a previous high. So this is a MSB over here, and within here, what is this? This is our SNDR. This was the supply and demand zone responsible for causing this market structure break. Without this, price would have not had this MSB. So if there's an area where price might potentially want to bounce from, it's going to be from this MSB. So I mean, if I go to my 1 minute time frame, you can see that potentially the SBS ends up being like this, where this is your one, oopsie, this is your one, two, three. I mean, price does sweep quite early, but 4, 5, we've tapped into the SNDR, and now hopefully we're looking for price to get back above. And then, of course, this is what it looks like on the 5 minute chart. So when you let price play out, we just shoot up. So in terms of entry confirmation, or entry methods, you have IB, because a lot of people, whoa, I don't know if this is gonna work because my phone's right next to the mic, but a lot of you been asking like, what do you use to enter? So you have an IB candle here where price shoots up. You also have a CSS. This is my last bearish candle. We've closed above, we've come back, we have tapped the 30% with Dave's levels, not this one, but Dave's levels. Yeah, so like we tap the 30% there, and then obviously go through a, what's it called, buy stop. And I mean, if you are using the SNDR as your zone, then essentially you could draw your fifth from the low to the high, and you can see that price taps to 618. So you could have also used that as your entry, and if you're using the zone low to zone high, we can see that price has at least tapped the 382 level. So you can't tell me that there wasn't entries that you couldn't have used. There was plenty. There was at least 3 to 4 entries that you could have used for yourself to try and get yourself in. And bearing in mind, I am on the 5 minute chart. If I go to my 1 minute chart, we can see that price was below the SMA. So if I was on my 1 minute, I probably wouldn't have taken this trade. But now we get above, we kind of like retest it, and then obviously there's no raw entry. I mean, potentially you might have looked for something within this area here, or look for something within this area here, hoping that price respects this SMA and continues higher. So London, there was definitely some beautiful trades that you could have taken, and yeah, let's just let price play out. Okay, and it's 3 o'clock. Okay, so going into New York, we had another MSB over here, and within here we have SBS, where this is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in this case here, what did we do? We tapped into this unmitigated move origin, you could say, or even SNDR, depending on how fussy you want to be. Where we tapped into this army to get a move origin, we are above the 200 SMA, and we can see how price gives us a nice reaction up. So again, if I drop my fib from this low to this high, we can see that we clearly tapped the 618, where you'd have been tagged in, maybe a lot of drawdown. We also have this IB candle because this is my last down candle, and we don't close below it, and that doesn't quite give you a 1-to-1 yet. Let's see if it does. If you're not happy with that, then potentially you'd have waited for price to give you a CSS, where in this case here, nope, so the 0.3 level does not get tapped. However, remember I am on a 5-minute chart, so if you go to our 1 minute, we can see that technically what has price done. So price was making, let me just remove all of this. Okay, so based off the 1 minute chart, price was making lower lows and lower highs, and then we failed to make a new lower low. Price now got above our SMA, so essentially we had a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and we made a higher high. So that's the first indication of the flip, and this is valid because we closed above it first before taking out this low. So in this case here, that's an internal flip. And then if you're not sure about this one, then this is the confirmation that this is the flip as well. So price flip there, and of course we don't ever trust the first flip, but if things make sense to you, then why not? But for me, I wouldn't trust the first flip. And obviously we've taken out this high internally, but now we've also taken out our external high. So let's just see what happens. And even so, you low-key do have SBS model 1, probably not the best one, but it is a low-key one. Or you could even use this one, yeah. Actually no, this one is better. Yeah, so this is the low-key one, where potentially that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, it's not ideal, but it's just about being able to train your eyes to see these setups. But if we go back to the 5-minute chart, we can see how price took out our previous higher high, and then now we're actually in my session that I would normally trade, 3 to 5 p.m. UK time, which is 10 a.m. to 12 noon New York time. But we now have another market structure break, and what happens? We pull back, tap into this area of supply and demand. But if we go down to our lower time frame, we can see how this ends up being the 1, this ends up being the 2, this ends up being the 3, 4, 5. And then if I draw up my fib from even this low to this high, we don't quite tap the 618, but we do probably tap the 382 level, of course. And obviously if I extend it that way, then price doesn't at least tap the 382 level, which is completely fine. But this is an area of supply and demand, so even if I drill like this, it doesn't really matter because it's an area of supply and demand, or the SNDR from this market structure break. So all we got to do is tap into this, look for the sweep, which we had the sweep, and hoping that price takes out the previous higher high. So we had our sweep there, we had and now we have another MSB. So can you see how even if you missed, let me just go back to the 5-minute. Obviously I know these were all in different sessions, but even if you missed this one here, there was another opportunity there, there was another opportunity here, there was another opportunity within this structure, and then there was another one within that structure too. So when you just follow the trend, you follow the SMA, and you kind of just see where you are within price, like, you're not gonna catch that many losers, you know. But when you let price play out, what happens now? So we take out this low, but for those of you that count your swings, then you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 swings. 4 to 6 swings. What happens? Price tends to correct itself, and then we took out this low. So when you start to put things together, things will slowly click, and you're thinking, yo, trading's just a game. It's just like playing GTA. You just gotta kind of know where to go, know where to get the money heist, know where to what's it called, do the missions, to get the most money, and then obviously you call it, and then. But yeah, so if you go back to the 5-minute chart, so yeah, so now on our 5-minute, let me just clear this, and I'll even clear this one here. So now, based off the 5-minute chart, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have this area here, which is the SNDR, the 5-minute SNDR. We tapped into it, and what happened? Price took out our previous higher high, which is a market structure break. And again, for those of you that are asking, what did you use to enter? If you draw out my fib from this low to this high, we tapped the 618. Guys, we tapped the 618. If you wasn't happy to take the 618, no problem. This is my last, or this candle is my last bearish candle, and you don't quite get a CSS. You do get an S&D flip, but I haven't taught you guys that yet. In terms of IB, I mean, you could have used this candle here with a buy stop. Oopsie, wrong way. Yes, you could have used this candle here with a buy stop, and then you get yourself tagged in, and then that could have been you done for the day. I mean, you could have also used this one here, and then where it ends up being like that. So yeah, so in terms of entry methods, there was some that you could have used. And remember, I am on the 5-minute chart. If you go down to the 1 minute, then you can see how this is my last bearish candle. Look, we closed above it. Obviously, this is the Stoic one, but if I get out the Dave one, we tapped the 0.3 level. So CSS would have worked in this scenario here. We even had a RSI divergence, so I already know that this was a fake MSB. I mean, it wasn't an MSB because it was a sweep, but the context behind it, this was a fake MSB. And obviously price has now continued higher. In terms of IB, this is basically an IB. Even there's candles within here that you could also use for IBs, and obviously price continues higher, so even here is an IB, and obviously price continues higher. So there was numerous confirmations that you could have used to get yourself in. I don't want to hear it but people say, oh, but how did you get in? Because I've just shown you you had a 618, you had IB, and also you had CSS. And what do we normally look for in terms of the 4 and 5? We tend to look for the double bottom. So sometimes price will take you out and then continue higher. Sometimes price will give you a higher high and then continue higher. So it's either price sweeps or price sometimes just doesn't sweep, but we just continue to make higher highs and higher lows. So yeah, but it's just being able to train your mind to see that, so here's a perfect example. Look, low, high, lower, low, we swept, price continues higher. Someone else in their mind thinks that it's a low, high, higher, low, higher, high. You see that? So depending on what you've seen to train your mind is a reversal pattern, and obviously that's the first move, or the first stay in order flow that potentially price wants to shoot on higher. So in terms of gold, various SPS setups that you could have used. I don't want to make this video too long because this is just a market recap, but what did I say again? Always remember that victory belongs to the most tenacious, and wherever you're in the world, I'm wishing you guys a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night, and I'll see you lots tomorrow. Love, my people.